What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. Listen, I wasn't ready, but I tapped into Twitter, which I'm never on, honestly. And when I saw that Tasha said she was going live on Twitter Spaces last night, and Official King Payne, he talked about it, and he had, said, hey, you going to be on there? So I decided to jump on and listen. I was not prepared, but they were talking about the fact that TGIF on Fox Soul is indeed canceled. Again, I don't have the full proof that has happened until they make an official announcement or it just doesn't come back anymore. But that's what they were saying. But I'm not even here to really talk about that because I was not prepared. But Al Reynolds' best friend of over 20 years was in the listening section, and he came up on the stage to speak. And he shared a lot of things. I'm just going to share a few things that he said. I did not take any recordings, so I don't have any recordings to share with you guys. But listen, he's basically said that Claudia has been messy and has been stirring up mess behind the scenes for a while now. And the fact of the matter is that it's Claudia's fault that what happened, meaning the roast. He said that Claudia put the battery in Armand's back to do the roast, even though Armand came out to say that nobody made him do anything. Well, I mean, it's semantics at this point. Yeah, nobody made you do it, but was it inspired? Did she give you some information? Did she influence in any way? There's a difference. So when you use the word no one made you do it, well, no, nobody made you do it. They didn't force you to do it. But Al Reynolds' best friend, he said so many things, honestly. He said his relationship goes back over 20 years with Al, and that Al, he's a good dude, and that the issues people started noticing. But he said Al, people were saying to the point of Al being rude to Armand and those comments that started showing up when Armand showed up. He said a lot of those commenters that were saying things like that, they didn't really know Al because they never watched TGIF. They were only really watching it because they were following Armand and they were used to seeing Armand on his own platform. So seeing him over on TGIF was a new situation for them. And because they were not used to Al, they felt like Al was being rude and being messy and speaking over Armand and not agreeing with him on a lot of things and different things like that. But what I will say to that is I will agree with Al's best friend because, no, I didn't watch every episode of TGIF, but I will say that I did see it from the beginning, back when Gary with the T was on there, and Al's best friend mentioned that. He said, even when Gary with the T was on there, when it was 4 people before they went down to 3, Al would, he would start speaking, maybe cutting somebody off or, not agreeing with them or maybe being seen as rude or whatever. And I caught that too years ago. I was not used to, I knew of Al, but I didn't know about him. To be honest with you, all I really knew of him was being married to Star Jones. That's how a lot of people were introduced to him and all they kind of really know of him because he wasn't in entertainment. He married someone who was. And that was years ago. The marriage happened years ago. The divorce happened years ago. We may have seen him here and there because he, I thought, was friends with Claudia Jordan, friends with Jennifer Williams, who's on Basketball Wives, and maybe a few other people. So you might have seen him here and there as like a cameo. He was friends with Nene Leakes. I don't know if he still is, but, and I think also Tamar Braxton. So with that being said, he was not in entertainment And so a lot of us didn't really know about him. So I would say that I agree with Al's best friend, because I did think that too. It's like, dude, calm down. Like, pipe down, slow down, whatever. Not saying he had to agree with everyone, because having those types of panels, it's not about agreeing with everyone else. It's about sharing your opinion on the scenario at hand, the story at hand, the trending topic, the influencer or entertainer or whoever it is where stories come out about them. You're sharing your view and opinion on the person or the situation. So it's not about being agreeable. It's about you having a voice and sharing what you think about the situation yourself. So he made a good point with that, because a lot of the people who were watching the TGIF show for the first time, when Armand came on there, they were not familiar with Al. And a lot of them did see Al as this old man who is not respecting this younger guy and different things like that. But honestly, I never picked up the hate or disrespect, if you will, that a lot of people were trying to make the Al Armand situation be. They're colleagues. They didn't have to be friends. They worked on this show together. But the other thing that this guy said too is that a lot of things that Tasha K was saying, he was confirming. Now listen, he might do an interview with Tasha K. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But he just pretty much was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm not here just to root for my best friend because he's my best friend. I'm here because I saw a lot of the stuff happen and go down, and he and Claudia have had issues for years. So all of this really is a surprise to me, because like I was saying before, I really thought that they were friends. So when Claudia came out to say that she and Al are not friends, and she doesn't like Al, she likes Funky, but she doesn't like Al, I was like, well, dang, I thought it was the other way around. So we really don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But if he does a sit-down interview with Tasha K, I'm definitely going to tune in, because I really would love to hear, him go in a bit more depths and details. But he did share a good bit. But basically, he came on the stage to confirm a lot of the things that Tasha K was saying about Claudia and even the TGIF situation and Armand. And he said that Claudia is the reason the show has been canceled. So for him to say that it was canceled, I'm like, well, he knows something. Again, I said before, I don't wish for the show to be canceled, but me wishing and hoping and praying, which I'm not praying, but I'm just saying, any prayers or wishes or hopes that I have means nothing, because whatever happens to the show, whether it's just a hiatus, like Armand said, or it's canceled, like Al's best friend said, they really don't have anybody to blame but themselves, because the roast and how detailed it was, and talking about going behind their back to go to the executives and trying to get the show canceled and different things like that, that stuff wasn't in fun. It wasn't in a good spirit. And the truth of the matter is, it shouldn't have happened on the show. It would have been one thing if they were having like a little gathering, a get together, whatever, and it wasn't done on this network, even though it's on YouTube. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's a YouTube show. They live stream it on YouTube, and then they played the replays on YouTube, but it technically is a network. They shouldn't have done it on the network. That type of stuff, this organization, like, do you really believe that this company, this entity, this organization, this network wants the mess like that out of people that look like them? Because yeah, we could do this all day long where people would say, well, on Fox News, when this happened, we got to stop comparing what they do to what we do, because you're not going to get treated the same. Period. And we know this. It may not be right. We definitely don't like it, but it just is what it is. So when people try to compare, you just can't do that. It's not fair, but you can't compare. Do you really think they want to see these messy Black people bringing this type of attention to the show? They didn't like it when Funky went off on Chloe Bailey and about Chloe Bailey, and he had to come back and apologize. And he didn't want to apologize. That brought issues to the network because people were talking about boycotting TGIF and sending in complaints to the network. They don't want that type of attention. So if Al has lodged an HR complaint for hostile work environment, because, you know, there's only so much professionalism someone could offer. If you are one of three and you feel like these two people are against me and you have to show your game face and work on the camera and be cordial and whatever, it's like, how much more can anyone take? And the roast, if you want to even call it a roast, that Al gave of Armand, there was really no there was no comparison. That was definitely done in a, you know, in a kind, lighthearted fashion. And I wouldn't even call it really a roast, to be honest with you. But yeah, it just went too far with the things about the jobs and his failed marriage and you know, I'm not sure if Armand knew, but Claudia definitely knew that Star had sent a cease and desist to the network to not speak on her. So when Lunel was on the show, because he also brought this up too, when Lunel was on the show, I believe it was last week or the week before, and they were having a discussion about, I think it was, oh my God, I think it was something about trans women not divulging their trans to the person that they're dating until they get comfortable with the person and not just being upfront. And I remember watching that, and Claudia was like, which I agreed with her, because Armand was saying, no, I think you should wait. I think you should wait and things like that. And Claudia was like, well, no, like, I want you to be honest with me. Don't just wait until you think it's safe for you to let me know. You're not considering my feelings. So if you're not divulging that information up front and letting me know, then I see you as a liar and I wouldn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. So like, you just need to be honest and upfront in the beginning. And I 100% agree with that. But Lunel was also on the show that day. That's when they had a fourth person. All right. And I talked about that before. A lot of people talked about it before. Because Lunel asked Al Reynolds about his status and when he was married to Star. Well, did Star know? And she said, did Star know you were gay when you were in a relationship with her and you married her? She used the word gay. She didn't say bisexual. He has said he's bisexual for some time now on the show. And I talked about that a little bit, but now looking back on it and hearing what Al's best friend said, he is implying that Claudia used Lunel as a scapegoat to ask Al that question because she knew they were not supposed to be speaking about Al's marriage to Star Jones, anything like that on the show. So, not saying Claudia put a battery in Lunel's back, but he is basically implying that Claudia put Lunel up to that, knowing that they were not supposed to be discussing Star. He said it was very convenient that happened, and Lunel is someone that Claudia says is a friend of hers, and she knows. So, child, this is a whole hot mess. The saga continues, and as more information comes out, I'm going to talk about it because it's something that I'm interested in, and it's something that I was watching, and just to see what is going down right now, it's definitely interesting. I wouldn't say it's entertaining because it is people's lives and their livelihoods, and I don't ever want to see anybody lose their jobs or whatever, but listen, we have to be careful of our actions, and when you get in a position like that, it's tragic. to become reckless. Period. Because when Funky left, I remember Armand talking about it, and he was like, to get that much money, like blah, 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 blah. And then you're not in the seat for even 3 months, not even a quarter of a year, and this is going down. It definitely doesn't sound like wisdom was used in any situations when it comes to this show. But again, we'll see what comes of it. But absolutely, Al's best friend hopped on the Twitter Spaces to say what's going down right now. It is all because of Claudia. So that's what he said. So I'm just letting you guys know about it. If you were in the Twitter Spaces, let me know. But guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye. Maybe we're mistaken. Don't want to talk, don't want to see, don't want to feel. Word is lit.